What is good, YouTube? Quin Wade basketball analysis holding down analysisplayground.com coming to y'all with a quick video. We're going to talk about the coach of the year. To me, this is a little easier than the other awards just because we know which team should be good if they're healthy. It's just about which team will be the best. We're in that conversation to overachieve to be able to win Coach of the Year. I think it's definitely some guys that's going to be in this conversation. We're going to name everybody that's going to be in the conversation. And at the end of the day, I'm going to pick who I personally think is going to be the winner. Eric Spoelstra, I'm higher on the Miami Heat than other people. I think if they're winning, they're defending, they're having all-star performances from Bam and Jimmy and Kyle Lowry being that piece that they needed to give them stability, shooting and filling some gaps with the rebounding and assists and defending. I think that will make them a special team. That make them a tough team to defeat. Obviously, they're gonna need guys to step up like Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson. They're gonna need their role players to play better than they did last year. This team was a little inconsistent. This team was a little stagnant, especially offensively, and they didn't always bring it defensively, and that's something that's rare for a team like the Miami Heat. They looked like they was two different teams, a Jekyll Hyde type team. One minute they looked like they had it figured out, then one minute they looked like they lost everything, and it happens. It's a long season. You have matchup problems in the playoffs that all you can really control with personnel you have going into the season, and when your playoff season is there, you just got to go out there and compete and do the best you can to win games. And they unfortunately didn't get it done against the Bucks, but that was last year. They have remotivation. They have guys that turned it in, to another level when the season was over. And I feel like that's going to be something that they can base off. They got new pieces, a coach that will hold them accountable, a coach that will push them. And this team has expectations now. They made a lot of moves to fix a lot of their roster and to fix a lot of their holes. And even though they don't look like a perfect team, to me they look like a better team than they was last year. The win should reflect that, and I think that they'll be in the conversation for one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. And if that's the case, Eric Spoelstra should be in the head coach of the year running again. Frank Vogel will be up there. If he can get this team to defend and they can win, a lot of it will be based off talent. A lot of it will because they have AD and LeBron and Russell Westbrook, and those guys know how to win games in the regular season. These guys have continually been in the playoffs throughout their entire career, apart, together, and I don't think that will change. And I think that this team will be able to win a lot of games just based off having guys that understand how to win, guys that do whatever it takes to win, and just because you play the good, the bad, and ugly. They should be able to out talent teams. They should be able to outsmart teams, and they should just be able to go out there and blow out other teams just because they have enough weapons and they have enough pieces that honestly is better than most teams can put together. The fit will be questionable. The defense will be questionable. But Frank Vogel had these questions before, and he was able to figure it out several years throughout his career. I think this is another challenge. This is another task. But this is an 82 game season. They looked amazing last year, then they got a crumble in when the season ended. So you really never know what's going to happen. But since this is an 82 game season, I do think that they have enough time to figure it out. They might get off to a bad start. They might get off to an okay start, but it's just how you finish and where you finish at. And I think they will definitely finish in the top of the West. And if they do, Frank Vogel will get a lot of that credit, and that'll put him in the conversation for Coach of the Year. Steve Nash is the person I picked that's going to win it. I think they're going to have the best record. I think they're going to go ramp. They're just going to rampart and just destroy the league. And I think if you have a guy that's going to be an MVP conversation, you have one of the top 10 players in the league in James Harden. You have one of the most unstoppable guards in the entire league in Kyrie Irving, who was an all NBA player last year, an all-star, and has been one of the guys that can take over a game and literally do whatever he wants whenever he feels like it on the offensive end. Same like Harden and Kevin Durant, and you surround them with the pieces that they have and the fact that they is deeper. They have more weapons. They have more talent. They're just the most loaded team in the NBA to the point where if an injury happens, they have no excuse but to win because they still have most talent than any other team in the league. And when you have a team this loaded, and this team has some of the best players in the league, and then they have some of the best role players in the entire league to fit around some of the best players in the league, you don't really have to do that much coaching, but you still have to figure the lineups. You still got to figure the schemes, and you still got to figure out how to keep all these guys engaged, locked in, and focus on the ultimate goal, which they did fail last year, which is winning the title. Expectations are higher this year. They're reloaded, they're healthier, and guys are just ready to go out here and prove that they're the best team in the league. They just are. They're gonna have distractions. They're gonna have things floating over them, but what championship team doesn't? That's just normal. That's just something that they even went through last year. But now it's just time for them to get it done, and we'll see if they're able to do that. Quin Snyder will definitely be in the conversation because, I mean, not Quin Snyder, but Quinn will be definitely in the conversation just because I love how this team played last year. I definitely think they'd be at the top of the West again this year. Their ability to defend, their ability to shoot. Donovan Mitchell is a guy that can get his shot whenever he wants. They got one of the best defenses every year because they have Rudy Gobert. And when you have a great offense, great weapons, great spacing, great shooting, a decent bench, you should be able to win a lot of games because there's not too many teams that has that. And you one of the teams that had that last year. You was number one in the entire NBA. And Donovan Mitchell missed significant time, and you still was able to finish with that record. I think that with more season, they should be able to stay a little bit more healthier. Hopefully, you get a little bit more Mike Conley. That should help you win a little bit more games than you would last year. And you should be at the top of the West, if not at the top of the West. And he should be able to get consideration for Coach of the Year just for that. And he did last year. So why wouldn't he get it again this year? It's all about having the opportunity to win it. And he will be in that conversation because he will continue to hold his team accountable. He will continue to push and demand them. And that's why they've been great. You know, having the talent is one thing. Finding a way to get it all figured out and worked out on the court and off the court is another thing. And Quinn has been able to do that. Mike Malone, I think, will get conversation again for Coach of the Year just because this team don't have Jamal Murray, but they will still figure out a way to win. Jokic will power this team. They have spacing, they have shooting, they have guys that can spot score, and they should be able to defend decent enough to the point where they offense to be able to brutalize opponents. Mike Malone has been questionable sometimes and has been great sometimes. But when you have things that give you more credit, when you overcome things that give you more chances to win the award, that's why Jokic was able to win MVP. They still finished as a top four team in the West. I expect them to finish as a top four team in the West again, which means if you're winning and you have one of the best records and you have a team that's in the conversation as a contender, you're going to be in the conversation with Coach of the Year. Mike Budenholzer will be in that conversation. He has Giannis. He has Middleton. He has Drew Holiday and a great supporting cast. And when they have Mike Budenholzer, they haven't finished nothing less than third. And that means if you finish in top three, top two, number one in your conference, you're going to be in the conversation for Coach of the Year. He has won this award already. He is a championship coach. He has one of the best rosters in the entire NBA. He gets them to defend. They're still figuring out how to play with each other, but the playoffs really helped that out. Same with Middleton and Drew Holiday playing in the Olympics. These guys are hungry. They really want to be out in the mention and show that they're nothing to play with, and they feel like they still can win it all again this year. Having a great regular season is just another step to having that mentality. You want to start it from the jump, and you still want to have a good chance of finishing it. And I feel like they had that the last couple seasons since they had Mike Budenholzer. I don't expect that to change just because I expect them to be great. That's what I've been expecting from them, and that's what I expect from them this season. And that means they should be in the conversation for the top teams in the NBA, which means he should be in the conversation for Coach of the Year. And the last candidate that I have will definitely be Monty Williams. I expect this Phoenix Suns team to destroy the league again. They have a lot of scoring. They have a lot of good pieces. They're going to communicate defensively like they did last year. They have another year of experience. They have more things figured out. They played, to me, their best basketball in the playoffs, but they had injuries and people in and out, and they still played top 10 offense, top 10 defense. and they was able to destroy the league, becoming one of the top two teams in the entire NBA last year. And I don't really see that changing. They have the same personnel. To me, they got even deeper bench wise, and they picked a lot of their holes on their bench too. Plus, another year of experience together, another year of experience with the young guys that's still developing and growing. And now that they had a playoff run that was hugely successful, why they can't build upon that and have another great regular season and try to make another run at it in the playoffs? We'll see how the playoff things happen, but when you have one of the best offenses, one of the best players in the NBA history in Chris Paul that continues to make the playoffs no matter where he's at, and then you have a team that was almost in the playoffs without him, and you combine that and become a top two team in the entire NBA, I don't see that changing this year. And Monty Williams gonna have a strong case again for Coach of the Year, and he might even win it. But I think the Nets will finish higher record. I feel like they will be able to blow out teams and embarrass teams, and I think that that'll be enough for Steve Nash to be Coach of the Year. If they're better than everybody and they show it, then honestly, then you should be rewarded for having the best regular season and the best coach. You got to get it orchestrated. Talent does matter in this league, and we've seen that throughout the league. And these teams have loaded talent. These teams continue to be consistent when winning on both ends of the court for the most part, and that's a recipe for success in this league. And that's why I think that they'll be able to figure it out at the end of the day. These teams have challenges. These teams gonna have some tough roads, but these teams are smart. They have the best players. They have some of the best players in the history of the game, Hall of Famers and future top 10, top 15, top 20 players of all time, still in their prime at the best of their game. That usually results in a lot of wins, and I don't really see that changing for none of these teams, coaches, or organizations. And we'll just see who comes out on top and win the title. But that's a conversation for a different video. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the night. Let me know who you guys think gonna be Coach of the Year. Let me know who you guys think be in that conversation. Quinn Wade, Basketball Analysis signing out. Hopefully, I'll see y'all tomorrow.